I've been working on the railroad and my uncle's gay. All right, we sound good. This one's titled, The Cost of Living in America is Causing People to Give Up. But before you do, watch this. This one's by Jacob Whalen. He's a pretty cool dude from Kentucky, Kentucky's finest, and this should be fun. Oh, this guy's real blown up. We're gonna have to chill out on that. We're gonna go right here. That looks better.
People are giving up. As a matter of fact, a lot of people have given up. And when you think about why people are giving up and what they're giving up on, it's not really hard to see why. Because money these days, it doesn't buy you very much. Back in the day, you could get by on $30,000 or $40,000 a year. And if you have a family, only one person would have to work and the other person could stay at home with the kids. But today, $30,000 or $40,000 a year for the average American pretty much means that you're either homeless or you're shacking up with somebody else, because $30,000 or $40,000 a year is not going to get you very much.
My name is Michelle Bourgeois. I am 37 years old.
Oh shit, this guy's got some B-roll playing here. Hold up.
I am a teacher in St. Louis County, Minnesota. I've had to take on a second job just because everything has gotten so expensive. It takes multiple incomes to survive in this economy. I just left work and now I am going to go door dashing for a couple hours. It looks like our first delivery. We have to go to Burger King. I always grew up thinking about the stereotypical American dream where you own a house and you have a yard to play in, and I think that dream is dying.
So people are throwing in the towel and they're deciding that money isn't worth it. As a matter of fact, there's people now living in storage units. Tiny homes is a big thing. Camping, van life, all these things are ways for people to say, screw money. I'm opting out and I'm gonna find other ways to live my life.
I'm 26 years old, and I live in a storage unit. I've been living in my storage unit.
All right, real quick, we actually covered this dude. The video got demonetized, and YouTube was like, "We do not like this." He was a crack. He did crack. He was doing literal crack. Okay, so let's just chill out on just like, oh, times were hard. Right, he changed his life, but just want to throw that out there real quick, because this is making it seem like, you know, people, just everyday people are like, I'm just gonna go live in a storage unit. Just throwing that out there. And not to mention the whole giving up thing. I've done it before. It's just easier to just go, this is it. Just stay at the shitty job and the shitty money. It's actually easier to just not try. Your life is a way harder. We could all agree on this. But that's the truth. It's always been that way. It's always been that way. People just give up. It's just easier not to even try. It's always been that way. But now the problem is you can't just have a regular job anymore and give up and just say, oh, this job's okay, I make enough money to live. That's the issue. But to be fair, I would say for a long time, it's always just been easier to not even try. Just throwing that out there.
For 5 months, y'all. And this shit completely changed my life, bro. Like, man.
And giving up crack changed his life too. I'm actually keeping tabs on this guy. He got an apartment, okay? Seems to be doing pretty well, all right? It's crazy. When you don't do hardcore drugs, life can get tremendously easier. And something else too, what I mean by giving up is like, when I was in the restaurant business, a lot of people drink every day, or they drink at night after their shift. They drink every day. And most of them smoked weed every day too. I was the weed guy. I didn't drink every day, but I was the weed dude. And it was so much easier to just totally not even try and just go, this is it. Especially with the weed. You have something to kind of escape. A lot of people use alcohol for that. Weed's huge now. But that could just keep you totally content. Just throwing that out there. Think about how many homeless people there are. And homelessness is deeper than just drugs, okay? I understand this. Foster cares, your family went homeless, your parents have a big deal with this, or having no parents has a big deal with this. I'm not saying that it's that simple. I'm just saying, if you think about it, a lot of people will be totally cool just smoking weed and not trying at all, because at least you have some sort of an escape. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways.
I didn't plan this, bro. Like, just how I lock my door, though, man. Close it. And then it's like a little hole right here. And then close it. And I take my little screwdriver. And,
all right, we see.
Is extremely high, the highest it's ever been. So that is pricing most Americans out of homeownership.
29 years old. I've been a police officer about a year. Let's go. But every day is a struggle for me too. If I still have to worry about my next paycheck, where my next meal is coming from, I'm just like anybody else out there. So I've been looking at houses pretty much every day. I wanted to buy one for a few years. To put 20% down on a house, that's a lot of money. Even I can't do it, working double shifts. In today's economy, even if I got a second job, I wouldn't be able to afford it. You do get defeated knowing that homes are so expensive. After looking today, there's no way they can just keep going up and up and up, because then people won't be able to live. It's just so expensive. No one will be able to afford anything.
So in a way, people are choosing not to participate in that.
The only thing about being a cop or like military is you do get a pension in the long run. That's one thing. That's something I thought about a little bit, was like, okay, most people, most of us, like I have to create my own pension, if you would, right? I don't have a fucking pension. I have to create my own. But most of us are in the same situation as that cop, except for we don't just walk around carrying a gun. It's kind of cool. And arresting people. But you get a pension at the end of that. That's something else that's kind of just a little bit fucked up. It is. Just like everyone else can't afford a house too, but they're not getting pensions. Just throwing that out there.
Not by choice, but because they're being forced into it, because they simply can't afford a home. And because the cost of home ownership and all the other things we just talked about, as well as health insurance and being sick and food and everything else in our modern world is so expensive, people are also giving up on the idea of being able to retire. At this point, our future is so uncertain that it's unclear whether or not the younger generations are even going to have access to the same retirement benefits that the previous generations had. So that means that you can't rely on those systems, and you're going to have to invest or save your way to retirement, which again is a very hard thing, considering it's very hard to save money right now.
I'm 70 years old. I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I cannot afford to retire. I live off of Social Security, which does not pay all my bills. That's why I'm looking for work. I was working retail, lifting boxes. It was very hard. I did not think that being 70 would be like this. The cost of food has gone up. Every time I blink, it goes up. I get better prices here.
You told me $10.25?
This is where I have a Bible study.
We thank you so much for this evening.
There are times when I do feel like giving up, and coming to this group helps me continue on.
Good. Right.
My greatest obstacle right now is being able to support myself. It is hard for me just to survive. It is hard for me to accept that I'm not able to enjoy the rest of my life because I have worked hard all my life.
And that is a very terrible thing, because life should not be about working your entire life away. It should be about chasing your dreams, going after the things in life you want.
I was going to say, I think so many people have, when we talk about giving up, a lot of people are just living for like right now. You know what I mean? Like we just watched that old lady and I'm sitting there like, Jesus Christ, you know? But a lot of people look at it like, I'm just going to live right now because I'm probably going to end up like that old lady anyways. Which I don't blame them because I'm in that same, I live that same way. Just kind of fuck it. Never had like a real job. You know, like I'm saving for retirement. Better to have something than nothing, right? But I live that now shit. I've been living like that. But I kind of have one foot in both worlds. But that's something too that I've noticed. It's just people like, I'll spend it now. I'll just spend it now. And I kind of have like, I'm not envious. I'm not like a jealous person. I don't have any of that. But I do have this thing where I wish I had the balls to just go get the dope car and just fuck it. You know, like completely say fuck it. Because I'm like one foot, I'm one in, one out. Like thinking of the future, but also like, well, you know, gotta live a little or live a lot. But I don't have that full throttle like right now. And I know people like that. And there's just like a part of it where I go, man, you know, I wish I had more of that. So I think that's something positive, right? Forget about like the giving up thing though. He just mentioned like chasing your dreams. My dreams in life weren't to do YouTube or do like commentary reaction videos. But something I've always enjoyed was filming, like what we're doing now. It was my first camera right here. 2003. Okay. I've always been filming skateboarding. Used to film skits and stuff. I've made it in magazines. Okay. Tony Hawk's YouTube channel. I've been in a bunch of fucking skate videos, DVDs, dude. We used to film the tapes. So it's something I always enjoyed doing just as something I'm into. So now I still get to film, but now I'm making money off of it. So like that is something I do think about where it's like, even if I wasn't doing this for a living, I've always been filming and have like some sort of a passion or a hobby. If that makes any sense. But a lot of people don't even have that. You know, you hear this notion of like, how many people have you ever asked, and you might be this person, and be like, what do you want to do with your life? They don't even know. Most people don't want to do anything. Back to giving up and not even trying. Most people don't even want to do anything, which I totally get. If money wasn't an issue, I would just skateboard, go to the beach, and fuck off. Literally. I would still probably film stuff, but it wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't be for money. But I've always filmed things for fun. So it's cool that I get to do that and also make money off of it. But a lot of people don't even know what they would want to do. You know, I think that's something too you got to think about is like, well, if you're going to have to work forever, you know, what kind of job would you maybe somewhat enjoy? I'm not saying this is the easiest task, but that is something that I thought about like my whole life. Always like, I'd rather do something I kind of enjoy at least a little bit than just strictly for the money. Money's cool and everything, but that's just something I wanted to throw out there. But most people don't even know what they want to do, or they're like afraid to say it out loud. And I don't blame them. You know, how many options do you get in school? You know, you're kind of limited. You kind of get picked for you. Your parents pick it, society picks it. Or maybe we're delusional enough to go, yeah, I want to go into advertising. You know, I want to go into digital marketing. Yes. That's something that's also kind of, yeah, I don't know.
And getting out of life what you want. There is so much more to life than being stuck in a job your entire life. But because of the way things are going, we're being forced into that position where it is basically impossible or near impossible to be able to retire, and especially retire early. And perhaps one of the worst things of all is that people are also giving up on each other. Men are giving up on women because women have now been taught to not respect men. They've been taught that masculinity is toxic and that men are slobs and they're creeps and they can live without them and that they don't need men. And that anti-men agenda has pushed men away from women. Now men are going their own way. They're fed up. They're tired of being...
Well, there's also a rhetoric too that I see where men, other men, right? I'm a relationship guy. Like, I know the truth. It's tough. Women are expensive too. Lord knows it. But something else, the whole kind of the women are evil thing too. It goes both ways. It's not just women doing that too. It's men looking at it the other way. I've been nihilistic about relationships. I've had my heart ripped off, thrown on the ground. Die, you're dead. Just stomped on. Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. I've been pessimistic about dating, you know. I know the horror story. I've been through it. I've been with enough women. This much I promise you. And I've had the luxury of doing that. But just real quick to reiterate that, it's kind of going both ways, so it doesn't really help. The only difference is I think men still want women. Maybe I'm just speaking for all of us, but porn wouldn't be so popular if this wasn't true.
Being berated and mocked and disrespected, and they're tired of not having peace. So that has forced men into a position where they're basically walking away. They're giving up on the idea of being with a woman, being in a relationship, getting married, starting a family, or any of those things. And that's a two-way street, just like I mentioned, because women are giving up on men and men are giving up on women. And that also means that both parties are giving up on the idea of starting a family. Yeah. And it's not just the fact that they're giving up on each other that's making people not want to start a family these days, but it's also the way society is set up, because society is very much set up in a way that does not favor the man in case there's a divorce or something happens with the relationship. The man stands to lose the most, and he is most likely going to lose his family, his assets, and all his money. The woman oftentimes is incentivized for the marriage to fail, because if the marriage fails, most of the time, all of the assets are going to go to the woman. And the woman is also going to get custody of the kids, and the man is going to become a 15% dad. So all these things have led to more division between men.
My boy just said a 15% dad. That's the best.
And women, and are causing people to give up on the idea of starting a family. And because of the way society is going, most people don't want to bring a kid into this crazy world. And when you think about that, having a family is a dream, and that's something else that people are giving up on. They're giving up on their dreams. They're giving up on their passions, the things they want in life. And that is a horrible thing, because all of us need a reason to get out of bed every morning. And we need to have some sense of purpose. So when you take our dream away, you're essentially taking our purpose away, because now all of a sudden we no longer have anything to work towards. And then we just walk around aimlessly, and we feel hopeless and lost, and we're full of despair, and it crushes our spirit. It crushes and degrades the human experience, leaves people with no sense of direction, and leads to depression. It leads to people being sad, miserable, and just giving up on pretty much everything, which that's what people are doing. They're basically giving up on life, because when you don't have purpose, you don't have a sense of direction, and you don't have a reason to get out of bed every morning, you basically just give up on life, because what is there to live for if you can't?
You know, that's something, you know, you hear like the peaked in high school deal. Something I noticed, because skateboarding used to be my identity. That's who I was. I'm a skateboarder. That was literally my life forever. Long time. But I noticed that I was grateful to even have that. You know, like you see a guy who's like, his identity is like fishing. Well, at least he has that. Because a lot of people, I bring up the peaked in high school thing, because a lot of people at such a young age, they don't have anything. Like, forget the money. Like, forget about money for just a moment here. But just something that you can call yours, something you're kind of nerdy about. Like how I talked about cameras earlier and filming, that started with skateboarding, and then that carried on into other things. It was just fun. It was something to do. It wasn't so much of like look at me. It was just more of like, look at what we did. I don't know how to explain it. It was something fun about it. And I'm still doing it 20 years later. Since 2003. Over 20 years. I've had breaks and stuff. You fall out of love with shit. I still skateboard. Not all the time. But I still skateboard. I still have it. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have something. And I'm not talking fucking football, right? Like, hold on, my nose. Ugh. Sorry about that. And I'm not talking about just like a sports fanatic, which is something, right? You get excited about something. Okay, that's good. But I'm not talking about just like the classics, like get married, have a kid. I'm talking about like an actual hobby. Like something you can get nerdy for. Like musicians. You ever see old guys playing the guitar at a fucking bar or something like that, or a restaurant? They're playing live music and you're thinking to yourself, oh, this guy, that's something he loves to do. That's something they love to do. It's not necessarily, but that's something I've always noticed. I've always noticed that. How many people, I'm like, what do you like to do? Like video games or something. At least you have something, right? People bitch about people who play video games all the time. At least they're nerdy about like something. I don't know. That's just something I used to think about a lot. Like how many people really don't have something they're just a full-blown nerd for. You know? Like an actual hobby of some sort. Because that's a big one, dude. That's huge. That's so big. Like, I remember when skateboarding, because it was like my life. So when that kind of came to an end, there was like a little moment of having to pivot, but I wasn't like, all I did was go to work, smoke weed, I guess, you know, like I didn't have that thing to get me juiced up, that had nothing to do with just money. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I think that's a big one. I don't know, just something for you to think about. Maybe you don't have that thing, or maybe you do have that thing. Maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like that thing that other people just go, oh man, you really love that shit. You know? I don't know. Whatever.
Can't work a job that you love to make decent enough money to get by so that you can get out of life exactly what you want. What else is there? And I think the answer to that question is pretty obvious. Not much. And while all that sounds bleak and disheartening, I believe that there's a way out of this. I believe that we can turn things around and we can reverse the hands of time that have led to all these people giving up on life. First and foremost, I think one of the most important things is drowning out all the noise, going monk mode, becoming the lone wolf, spending time with yourself so that you can get to know yourself, so that you can learn what it is that is going to make you happy. Because when you figure out what you want most in life, then you can figure out how to get those things. But to do that, you have to accept the fact that things have changed and the fact that things are kind of rough right now. And you also have to be, number one, willing to change, but you also have to be willing to be uncomfortable and face the demons that are likely lurking deep within you. And the best way to face those demons is to be alone, because a lot of people don't spend enough time alone. And
I agree with them to an extent, but something else I want to point out is how many people are cool with just being alone completely. Talk about giving up. You ain't even got friends no more. Back to the hobbies thing. Most of my friends, it had something to do with a hobby. Skateboarding, filming. It had something to do with doing an activity. So now, you got no one doing activities, or a lot of people, right? Okay, I'm not talking about drinking alcohol or smoking weed. I'm not talking about that. Just there's something to think about, though. Like, did that being alone thing's preached a lot, and a lot of people have this weird comfort of just being alone all the time. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just a part of getting older, but I just want to throw that out there. I agree with them. I do think there is more to life than just, you know, how this title is, the cost of living is making people give up. I get that, but like, you're just gonna not have fun? I'm not buying that part. I don't know. Just be alone all the time and have nothing to live for. I don't know about all that.
And they don't spend enough time alone because they're afraid of what's going to surface when they're alone. Silence is deafening, and it allows all these regrets, all this fear, and all these negative thoughts to surface. And a lot of people simply can't handle that. But if you don't spend time alone and you don't face those things, then you're never going to move past it and you're never going to progress. But that's the beauty.
Okay, I do agree with that. I agree with that a little bit. I like this guy. I'm just playing the other side of the field right now.
Beauty of being alone, because when you're alone, you can self-diagnose. You can figure out where the problems are, and then once you know where the problems are, you can fix them. And that's the same in our modern world, because now that we know what the problems are, we should have a very clear blueprint and a map to be able to fix these problems, because half the battle of fixing something is knowing what the problem is. We all know what the problem is. So what is holding us back now from fixing these things? Why are we not actively working towards a solution? I would say that it's because we have gotten way too comfortable, and we're willing to sacrifice anything to maintain those comforts, but we are not willing to sacrifice our comfort to fix things and become more comfortable. So it's a vicious, crazy, messed up cycle that we're stuck in. But when you...
That's what we were saying earlier, though, about people. It's easier to give up than to try. And when I say try, I don't mean something grandiose, right? Like right now, what I'm doing may seem lazy to people. Just reacting to this guy's content, remixing it, packaging it up, and calling it my own. But there's a level of effort that goes into it. Okay? Okay. Working 40 hours a week doesn't seem to cut it for most people. Okay? The hard thing to do would be to work 60 hours a week. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying most people will just keep working 40 hours a week, even though it's not working. They'll keep just smoking weed every day, even though they've been stuck in the same place for a decade. I've seen this firsthand. It happens every fucking day. The hard part is to give up those little conveniences. Take a hit, right? It's hard to give that up. You know? Like, van life seems as if it's like a cop-out. Like giving up completely. But you're not thinking about what you're giving up. You're giving up the comforts of having a toilet, an AC 24/7. And you're living in a car, right? You're giving up a lot of comforts. You know, a lot of people say, I'm just going to move to another country. Well, you know, I've been to some other countries, and something I've noticed about, like, I'm talking more third world. I'm not talking Western countries. I'm talking, you know, people going to, like, Thailand or, you know, the Philippines. Well, you know, like, people don't have nice cars. They don't have all these luxuries that we have here. Like, you're giving some shit up. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable to get ahead. You know, if you do the easy things in life, your life will be hard, and if you do the hard things in life, your life will be easy. I'm not saying how do I put this lightly? I'm just saying I've always tried a little bit harder, is what I'm saying. And I didn't sacrifice much. I just mostly sacrificed a lot of time for a long time to get to the point where now I have more time for myself than I do having to work. But it took a long time, a decade and a half of really going for it. And I gave up a couple times in between. I did. But life was a lot harder when I just simply gave up completely. It was actually much harder. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm a little sick, so whatever. And I still show up, just like everybody else. Ain't no sick days around here.
You disappear from the world and you come to all these realizations and you come to terms with all these things we're talking about, then you can start to build, because at that point you've now retrained your focus. You're not distracted by all this crazy stuff going on in the world around us. You can hone in on what's broken and you can work towards fixing that. And that's going to mean something different to all of us, because none of us face the same issues. But for most people, I would be willing to bet that some of the things they're going to realize is that if you cut your expenses and you live more frugally, and you're willing to sacrifice certain creature comforts in your life, then you're going to be able to retain, save, and possibly even invest more of your money. And the more money that you can save and invest, the better off you're going to be in terms of all these things that we're talking about. That's going to allow you to generate more wealth for yourself, and more wealth obviously means that a lot of your dreams, if those dreams hinge on money, are going to be able to be realized. And it might take some time. This stuff is not going to happen overnight, but it is possible. I know this from experience because I put myself in a pretty good position financially, being able to walk away from the workforce at the age of 39,
Damn.
pay off all my debt, own 2 homes, basically live a pretty free life, not having to worry about money, being able to chase my dreams and do the things in life that I want to do, and reaching all those things with no special privileges. And for my almost 20-year-long career, I made a less than average salary. As a matter of fact, my salary was below the median income for most of my career. But even though it was below the median income and I didn't have any special circumstances, I was still able to achieve quite a bit for myself. And that's why I believe it's possible for the average American, because I've done it. And if I've done it, then you can too, because I'm no one special. But it does mean making some sacrifices. But these aren't sacrifices that you have to make your entire life. And it also
Okay, I don't know how the hell you just retire at 39 making less than the median income for 20 years. He's got to be like a military or cop, firefighter. You know, you got to have like some sort of pension or something. I don't know if he gives us more context on that, but I'm proud of the guy. But that's a big thing that I do. Just a man with no bills is a rich man. You know, like I'm making the most money I've ever made, and my bills are exactly the same as when I bartended. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm just saying time is more in my... I see this too much. They do it to themselves all the time. All my friends do this. Everybody. It's like some kind of sick psychosis where like things will make us happy. Which I've been in that situation. Like things do make me happy. Like all the shit behind me. I liked things so much that I turned it into a business. Selling it on eBay. Buying cool vintage shit and selling it for a profit because I liked things. I understand that. But he's got a point though. You know, like not having the coolest car, the nicest this, the nicest that, not having everything on a payment plan. It does wonders. It really fucking does. But that's something, at least in America, that's huge. You go to other countries, like, I'm not talking Western countries here. I'm talking other countries where people are like, the Philippines is the best. Well, you know what? No one has dope-ass cars in the Philippines. They all have just regular, small, Costa Rica, tiny little fucking cars. Everybody rode a motorcycle. Tiny fucking cars. I mean, just like, everything is a Mini Cooper out there. No one's driving anything fucking fancy. Right? And they go, they're so much happier in other countries. Well, yeah, they're not a slave to their things, you know? But they also don't have the luxuries we have here. But that's something that always blows my mind. It's like, don't do it. Don't pay for it. That's something I will say. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's like cost of living is at an all-time high, but then it's like, yeah, you know, let's get the car payments and the unnecessary shit. But we've kind of been sold that, you know, you're just looking for a feeling. I understand that. I do get it. You know, I get it. It does make you happy for a little bit. Having a cool car. It does. For a little bit. Kind of scratches that itch. For a little while. I wonder how this guy retired so early. He's got to be, it had to be military or some shit. No fucking way.
It also doesn't mean that you can't live a very full and fulfilling life. You can still do all the things in life you want to do. You just have to be smart about it. Reduce your spending, reduce your subscriptions, reduce the money that's coming out of your account as much as possible. Put that money back. Put it in high yield savings accounts or put it to work in investments where your money can actually work for you instead of sitting stagnant in an account where it is slowly being eroded by inflation. Instead of buying into the consumer mindset and buying all this materialistic crap, don't buy any of that stuff. Only buy essentials. Don't buy the new car. Don't buy the new phone. Don't buy the designer clothes. Don't run out and get the next newest thing just because it's trending. There are so many simple and effective ways to put back just enough money to get a little bit ahead so that you don't feel like you have to give up on all your dreams. And
it does sound so simple. It really does. It actually is. It really is. I don't know. I just prefer having the time. I've always preferred that. I've always just preferred like saving money was like a hobby for me, you know? Like I'm like buying gold and shit. You know what I mean? Like just so, because I like to have cash, but then if you have cash at the house, like it's devalued, it's worth nothing. If I put 20 grand in my mattress, it's going to be 20 grand in 10 years. If I put this in my mattress, it'll be worth 40 grand in 10 years. You get my point. But like that's something too where like I don't know, maybe America's had like a money thing where like we're all just consumerisms. Like I kind of was raised where my mom was a super big consumerist, but my dad, my parents here, my mom was like spend it all. I don't care about money, which is great. Wonderful woman. She spent it on me too. Love it. Tell by the bowl cut. But my dad was like, we're going to stack this paper. It was like a game for him. So I kind of had both. Like making money was like fun. It was like something to do. It was like another hobby of mine. Was like just getting some paper. But it wasn't about like, look at me, I'm rich. It wasn't that, because I'm not. It wasn't like, look at how much money I have. It was just more of like, it was fun. It was kind of like a little game. And then you could do stuff. You have time. You could like, you don't have to stress. I would argue money is one of the biggest stressors out there, honestly. And being a slave to things, those two things, which are both money, that's like the biggest one. I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
A lot of it just comes down to being creative, doing things that go against the grain, things that challenge the narrative, and in a lot of cases, doing the opposite of what everyone else does. And that's true for not only money, but also in terms of relationships and finding a partner. Because what most people are doing right now is that they're being very divided. They're letting all these agendas and all these narratives come between us. And I can speak on that as well, because I too have given up on the idea of starting a family. And a lot of that comes down to the stuff I'm talking about. The way society is set up, the crazy world we're living in, the fact that it's very hard to make ends meet, and the fact that both partners would end up having to work their entire lives away just to put food on the table. Because I personally don't want to have to rely on the government or some strangers to raise my children. And that's a big reason why I put myself in this position. Retiring at an early age is so that I could be there for my family, so I didn't have to rely on somebody else to raise my kids, so that I could be there to teach them and guide them and watch them grow up. But I've seen the writing on the wall, I've seen the way things are headed, and I've realized that there's no way I would have been able to walk away from the workforce and retire at the age of 39 if I had a family. So for those reasons and many, many others, I've given up on the idea of starting a family. And we're all gonna make sacrifices. There are certain things in life that...
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, every woman I've basically been with, it's expensive. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Women make up most of consumerism in the world. That's just, I'm not making that up. They spend the money, or at least in America. And I'm trying to tread lightly here, but I have to like explain to my partner, you know, she goes, why are you such a Scrooge sometimes? And I go, because you want to go on 5 fucking vacations this year. I love vacations and everything, but like, come on. You know, it's a bit much is what I'm saying, right? Like, I like traveling, but I don't know. It's such a hard thing it's such a fine line. I get what he's saying, though. Like, that is another thing, too. Like, it's expensive. It just is. I'm not saying every woman's like this. Like, I know people where the woman makes more than the guy. And he is like the woman. He spends all the money. They both have no financial discipline. You know, like, that does exist, but it's a finite amount of men that get to live that lifestyle, is what I'm saying. I don't know. People, like, they're chasing happiness with... And that's something I deal with too. I'm not saying I'm perfect or I'm like the happiest guy in the world. But like being cool with, like, just because you, I don't know how to say this. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying I have financial discipline, I guess. To an extent, I do. But being in a relationship, I'll tell you what, I gotta know what the fuck this guy does. Who just retires at such a low age. I got to look that up. After 20 years. Who's offering pensions with that? Let me look this shit up. Jobs with guaranteed pensions after 20 years of service include military careers, public sector jobs like police and firefighters, certain public school teacher positions, and some roles in the public utility sector. Okay, some unions. All right, so he does seem a little bit militant. He does seem a little bit around that. I'm not going to say that's what he is, but I'm having a hard time thinking you make less than the median income and you retire. Wish he gave us a little more context on that. So I'd like to know what the hell you did for that. That's for sure. A 70-year-old woman with no family forced to work just to keep food on the table is truly heartbreaking. Well, nobody's having kids, so that's going to be the future, right? That's the future right there. You know what's funny? When I cannot pay property taxes after retirement, I will burn the house to the ground. I did not pay it off for it to be taken away, period. Now, that'd be kind of funny, actually. My question is why people in America have to live this way in supposedly the richest country in the world? I mean, most of it's rent, people bitching about health insurance. I just don't pay for it, you know? Just don't pay for it. I'm not telling you what to do, but it's like, how long are you going to bitch about it? You know, certain things I just don't pay for. I just don't play ball. It's like, fuck it. I don't care. Like, I think that's the biggest one. Hence van life. Van life's huge. People want to live in tiny homes. People want to leave America. You know, you got to sacrifice a lot, but I do think the time is kind of what people are seeking, right? Something else to live for other than just money. You know, this is something I'm trying to learn too. It's like, money's not what's gonna like really get your rocks off. It'll make you stress free. You won't be worried, but at the same time, you want a family and stuff. Right there, throw the stress right back in it. How much money are we gonna fucking spend? Yeah, you're gonna be saying that a lot if you think like me. But apparently, a lot of people just like to fucking blow it, and I don't envy it. But man, I wish I had that a little bit more. My question is why people in America have to live this. Okay, I already read that one. Let me see. Yo, this video is 100% correct. People are losing purpose with no purpose, no direction, no ambition, no drive. People are walking around but dead spiritually. Yeah, well, I mean, then again, too, like, is money the ultimate savior in that? You know what I mean? Like, what else is your purpose? Right? Like, I don't know. It's something to think about, though. It really is. I saw the future in 1992, so I joined the military, got stationed overseas, saw the world outside. I never went back. Yeah, I gotta guess this guy's military or something. But what, is everybody just going to join the military? I mean, maybe. It should be illegal for corporations like BlackRock to buy up single-family homes and then drive up the price through the roof. Yeah, there is something to be said about just working a regular job 40 hours a week and being able to afford housing. That is something that I do think is horseshit. But unfortunately, I don't have the power to change that. So I don't really know what to tell you. We said this in yesterday's video. In the hardest time to live, most expensive time there is, people want to go at it alone. They just want to try it out solo. So that's something else to think about. Let me see. I do think it's bullshit, though. I'm not happy about it. Like, my rent, my mortgage, $2,000 a month. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that. And it's like, we'd like to move. I'd like a house with a garage. But then it's like, do I want to pay $3,000 a month? Do I want to pay $3,500 a month? Even if you're splitting the bills with somebody, that's still a lot. That's a lot of fucking money. I don't care how much money I'm making. It's still like, man, that's unnecessary. Like, I don't want to have that be, I don't want to be a slave to that. Yeah, I don't know. What's really coming to light is the insane increase in property taxes. Yeah, that's partially why my place is so expensive. I'm in Florida. It's pitiful when police who can't afford a place to live are having to arrest people who are homeless. We're going to end on that note. The only difference with that is at least you'll get a pension. That's a big one too. The pension deal. I'll leave the link to this guy down below. But this is something I wrestle with, man. This is something I think about. And I go, Like, yes, making more money will solve a lot of problems, but like, for how long do you have to do that? And also, like, are you going to make yourself a slave to keep making that? That's something that I have a hard time wrestling with, especially like me and my lady want to have a kid, want to have a family. And yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of fucking pressure. That's what it is. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of people just give up. I get it. I understand. It would be so easy for me to just go, yeah, just make videos, like live by myself, like keep my bills as low as I possibly can, and no one else to really for me to fend for and count on. It does make sense. It does. Like, I wrestle with this shit. But I also am like, well, do I want to just not have a children and just kind of like, is that something I want? And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I do want a family and I do want that stuff. It's so weird. It's I think I'm overthinking it. I think we're all overthinking it a little bit. I'm just going to hang up and I'm going to go and live my life. I'm actually going to call it a day. I'm over it. I'm going to go just do something. I'm going to do nothing today. I'm not going to contemplate anything. I'm just going to go live. Hell of a talk.